In this video, we're going to talk about creating our base color texture for our car model, and we're going to be in Photoshop here, and it's recommended if you have one to utilize your Wacom tablet or some sort of drawing device, because we're going to be needing to draw in details, and it's hard to get a steady hand with just a mouse and keyboard. So what I've done is I've opened up my UVs that I created as a ping, and I've saved them as a PSD in the source images folder of my projects directory. And you can see that there are these very faint lines. The UV projection doesn't really make a thick um, outline, so I could double click the layer and I could do a center stroke of 1 pixel, and see that actually have my opacity down. So I put my opacity up and I stroke the outlines, and that sort of darkens it. You could also use your levels adjustments. So when that's done and you're happy with the way the outlines look and you got enough crispness in the detail, you can go ahead and make a new layer. And what I'll go ahead and I'll just hit D and then Control D to fill the Control Delete to fill the new layer with white. And now you can see that I've got a layer that's just an empty white layer and a layer that is my UVs. So I can go ahead and rename that UVs. And if you want, you could put a lock on it so you don't accidentally nudge it or erase any part of it. And then sort of just to get going, you've got your model open here, and it's got the blend texture still on it. You could go ahead and add a file texture and then find the file that we've just saved. Go ahead and grab the car UVs PSD. There we go. So you can see if I do a save again and hit reload, you'll see now that the thicker wire frames are appearing. So now every time you do an adjustment here, like I can go in and I will grab my round marquee selection, and I know that's the wheel, so I'm going to go ahead and pick a tire color, like a gray. And actually I want to do this on a new layer so that I always have a background layer that's untouched as well. And I know that this is also part of that wheel, so I'm going to hit Alt Delete to fill with the top color. And maybe I'll do that for the whole bottom side of the car as well. And then if I remove or hide the UVs layer and save the file, and then I reload the texture, you can now see that. Let me turn off the reference here. You can now see that we do have a real-time update of our model, so we can go ahead and start drawing in detail. Maybe at this point I switch over to my Wacom pen and go back to my layer here, and I know that maybe in this area I want to zoom in, and I'm going to go ahead and bring the opacity down a little bit on the UVs. Okay, so back here I could maybe rotate it, because I just draw better uh, horizontally. So go ahead and draw in sort of the long window here on the side. I know that this is the front window. Oops. I know that the top edge here is not actually the roof of the car, so go all the way to the top is fine. I think like right around here. Go ahead and do the same thing over here. Okay, so at this point you could also maybe go in and, if you're trying to mimic the look of our texture, go in and fill another layer and, fill it with our color, our base color, and then maybe go in and paint the windows like a, I don't know, what do they look like? Kind of a white gray color. Just really want to block it out. We're going to do that color on top of the yellow. And then when we reload the texture, it'll have this popping color. Okay, so it's very rough, but you're starting to see this resemblance. The yellow is definitely on point, so we could go ahead and, bring in the actual resources. If I open, these up, and I could just move them all into one. So I have, oops, select inverse, one sheet to use as my reference here. Oops. Gotta unlock that background layer. Now I'll just go ahead and grab the rear one as well. Now we're not, for the sake of our tutorial, making this hyper realistic car. So my goal is just to kind of get like a stylized texture on it really quickly. So go ahead and get one of these yellow colors that I like, and maybe just paint bucket onto this layer. There. It should be less, less mismatched. Okay, so now that we have this put together, close the other ones and just flatten this. And you can move this into your UVs file. Kind of like put it under the UVs layer. Just hide it and turn it on for reference when you need to. Close that and not save it. Okay, so that's texturing in a nutshell, how it works. You can see I'm kind of working just with a couple layers. I don't see the need for having many, many layers. And I'm constantly doing tiny updates and bringing it into my scene and actually seeing what it looks like. So in the next tutorial, I will open up a more completed version of the texture, and so we can look at it and talk about it.